So Travis wanted me to already be recording before he hopped in. So let's see what this is about. I had a feeling. I had a feeling.
Merry Christmas!
Look at that.
Look at you. You're
Hey, I
ready
thought,
too.
right? It's
Welcome.
the Christmas edition or episode. Might as well dress up a little bit.
That's right. I think I might have to take my lights off eventually. You guys on YouTube, you get the treat today because you get to see our festive
Yes.
wear.
Yeah.
But
Travis has got lights,
welcome.
like Christmas tree lights all over his head. So just
Yeah,
imagine that.
yeah, wrapped around my hat.
Yeah.
And I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Dads in Real Life. You get a real treat today because you got a little jingle. I just want to point out right away that if you are like continuity nerds from the movies or whatnot, just know that you're going to notice that, well, I was listening to episode 1 last week, and my daughter was my third was 1 month old. I can't talk. And now she's 10 months
10
old.
months old.
So we pre-recorded a lot of episodes, and guess
Yeah.
what? You're going to have to deal with it. But today, we're here for you. We wanted to shoot a little festive episode before the holidays
Tis the season.
commence. So, tis the season. When I was grabbing the jingle bells, I found this xylophone,
I think I
and I
might have had
thought,
that exact one.
if I thought we don't have an intro, and guys, sorry, there's no jingle jangle yet for our intros and our outros. Eventually, we're gonna be super cool like that, but for now, we could just do a little like dads in real life. Welcome.
You know what? I'm going to cut and edit that. That's just going to be the intro from here on out because part of being dads in real life is we have minimal time to do that kind of stuff. So
that's right.
We're going to count it.
Yeah,
that's
and we're editing our own stuff.
Exactly. We are. And as far as
We've
continuity, if you'll listen to the first couple episodes, it will say like episode 3, episode 4, and then it goes to episode I don't know. Right. And so I think moving forward, we won't even say the episode number. We're just going to talk about the stuff we want to talk about, and we'll lay the episode over like a voiceover afterwards to make sure.
Yep, that's true. Yes, we talked about that when we were recording another one recently. We are like, let's just put a little like burp in the voice spot. So I just also want to shout out that it kind of works with the continuity. The first episode when we recorded this, I don't know, 10 months ago, was in the rain. It was pouring rain, and now it is also pouring rain outside.
Full circle.
So if you hear a little, just pretend. If you're in SoCal, just pretend you're enjoying it. You're cozy. It's gray.
What rain feels
is this
like?
What winter
right?
feels
exactly.
like? Yeah, yeah. I know you don't really know, but
no,
it's cool. It falls from the sky, gets you all wet.
I've seen it on YouTube before. It's pretty cool.
Oh wow, that's a treat right there. Good enough. We both have our beverages of choice.
Yeah, my kids call it dad juice, which is just black coffee. So yeah. But
I got the dad juice with steamed milk.
Oh, you got the plus, the dad juice plus, right?
I got the flat white, as they call it in
I gotcha.
Australia.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I want to kick things off,
please,
with a little bit of the same word, winter edition.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys, if you haven't seen it, we're totally taking this from somebody else who played this game, and I love the game. So here we go. The idea is, let's see how in tune we are with each other. We got to dial it in before we start talking about stuff. So we have to say the same word. So we're going to go 3,
you guys might
2,
need to fast forward
1,
this later.
Boom.
Okay.
And we're going to say the same word. But this is easy, Rob, because guess what? It's holiday edition, winter
It couldn't be more difficult because it's
Christmas time is here. Okay?
Exactly.
Let's do it. Okay. So, are you ready?
I am as ready as going to be. Go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Jingle
Christmas
bells.
Tree. Okay. We got music, jingle bells. We got the tree. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of blanking right now. Okay, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Ornament.
Tournament.
A.
And the game is
A.
over. And the game's over.
Two.
Two.
And
That's a
and
record. That's
if
got to
for
be a
any
record for
reason,
us.
okay, okay. Rob has to attest to this. He's an honest guy. But if any of you listen to that and you heard one and not at the
No,
same
there is
time,
no
it's
editing. Just
because
watch the
there's a
YouTube video.
delay.
Yeah.
There's a delay. There's a delay. I'm out in my shop, which is like the farthest I could possibly be from my Wi-Fi. So, we didn't cheat. I promise.
No. No,
Yeah,
that's the connection. That's what that is.
that's exactly what that is. So, now I have a little segment or two today because we're having a lot of fun, and
Let's
you guys
go.
best get ready for the segments in future episodes because we got a lot of them. You ready for this, Rob?
I'm good.
I think you're gonna
I'm
think
like
of things
three
right off the
sips
bat.
in. I'm awake. I'm good. That was
All
actually
right.
pretty good. I
So,
was expecting that to last longer. So I need to get ready for this transition. I was ready for like a good 15
yeah.
minute riff on trying to get us to say the same word. But no, I'm good. I'm good now.
I had no doubt. We've shot like an episode now. We're tuned in.
Yeah, but don't be disappointed
Um,
when you listen to other episodes where we don't get it on the second try, because there's definitely some episodes that are floating out there that it
it
took
took a
a
while.
minute or two.
Yeah, yeah. So, the segment today, for to get us all warmed up is after our warm up, I should say, is the best present you got growing up. If you can think
Ooh.
back, is there a gift that I already see the gears turning.
I,
A
I know it.
highlight gift. You know it? All
I
right.
already know it.
What was
I
it?
know it because it kind of builds off something we talked about the last episode about completionism. So and this is like, I don't have a lot of like childhood, like Home Alone kind of, movie-esque memories of Christmas, but I do remember getting the first Nintendo. I do remember that. And then that was like
Oh boy.
literally, pun intended, game over. Like I was obsessed with that thing and playing like Contra and then Ninja Turtles, eventually Zelda. Like that opened up a whole new world. Um, Especially because we were a little bit not in the sticks, but up to that point, it was stay outside till the cul-de-sac lights turned off. That's when you came in. We had a creek, a
Yeah.
forest, so I was getting into all types of trouble outside the house. But as soon as technology entered the household, man, yeah, you couldn't peel me from that thing. And having to blow the cartridge to get it work and the double cartridges
Oh
to
yeah.
make sure it played, like that whole thing. So that, and I think that like opened up a whole thing as far as like got me into more reading, funny enough, because I was really into like fantasy and sci-fi because of the console. So yeah, that
Yeah.
I think for me was the pinnacle. Like, oh my goodness, like there's no way we could afford this. Where'd you get this? So at that time, the first edition of Nintendo was like that was the game changer. How about you? What's the
Me and my
fondest memory or
me
the biggest memory?
Well, to piggyback real quick, I do remember the Christmas that we got our Nintendo
Nintendo.
64 as well. And that actually I'm honestly surprised that didn't come to my mind the first. So that's not my
Hold on,
answer, but
I need to stop you right where you're at for a second. So, for those who are listening and those who are going to be watching this, just a quick reference. If you guys didn't know, although my complexion looks very young, Travis said Nintendo 64, right? I got the Nintendo 64 in
oh,
college, right? So mine is the original Nintendo. We're talking gray
what we
rectangle
call
box, right? That's what we're talking about. Okay, back to you, Travis. So just in case
oh my gosh. You
there
know
is a
what?
gap.
I love that. I
That's why we're doing
love
this. There's a
that.
gap. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly why we're
I
doing
remember
this.
Nintendo 64. Yeah, I was in college when I got the Nintendo 64. I
Yeah,
remember that.
I was not in college yet.
Yeah.
uh yeah, you said Contra and Ninja Turtles and I was like, man, that
I
sounds a
remember
lot like
those.
when I was playing like Super Nintendo. Like
Yep.
but hey, you know what? You still had to blow on the N64
That's
cartridges. And
true.
guess
You
what? I
did.
just broke mine out a little bit ago and I've been playing it with the kids
Dude,
and
Mario Kart. That's
it's
where I got
great.
into Mario Kart was
Quality
Nintendo
stuff.
64. That was the game for us,
Yep,
Mario Kart.
yep. Oh yeah, that's if you don't have Mario Kart. I mean, I don't know. That's a
I
pointless
think
start
that was the
there.
reason we got the 64 in school was because of Mario Kart. We wanted to play like League, right? We had like every Friday, Saturday, kids would come to our dorm room, double elimination kind of stuff. Yeah,
Oh
we were into it.
man.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's fantastic. Yeah,
And
I mean,
now I
I
don't let my
you
kids beat me
you
too.
yeah. Sorry, kids. Well,
No, no,
well.
okay.
See, I when I play with them, quote unquote,
Mhm.
I just give them a controller that's not actually plugged in, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
was gonna
playing
say the age group. I remember
watching.
when they were like toddlers and they were like whiny and wanted to play, and you're like, "Hey, I'm trying to play here." You'd give them just an unconnected controller, or you take the batteries out, and so they're playing. And then they get old enough where they want to play, and you're starting to teach them, but you're still kind of beating them, and you're feeling bad sometimes to beating them. Now I've got a
Yeah,
teenager that can beat me, so now it's like, oh, I gotta get the double hop
the gl-
slide chops going, and there's no shortcuts there.
the
Like we
gloves
need
are
that
off.
boost start. Yeah, it's serious now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, my favorite gift, I think a highlight
Yeah.
one was my mongoose mountain bike.
Oh,
There was
nice.
one year I can smell the memory. Like we walked out and like they were just like me and my brother got one. We were close enough in age and they were covered with blankets
Mm.
and we were like, "What's that big thing over there?"
Yeah,
And we rode around our neighborhood like pretty much all day.
that's
It
awesome.
was amazing.
I've
So
got
and oh my goodness, the color I can remember it all. It was like it's like so vivid in
the
my
smell, the
memory.
plastic smell, and the handlebars fitting perfectly. Yeah, I remember as far as like an
Yes.
outdoor present, like I came from the generation where I saw snowboarding start, right? That's gonna age me a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, but I saw snowboarding start. So it wasn't a gift, but if we're on this theme of like fond memories of Christmas, I remember one year, I don't know if we came across it in a magazine or maybe a kid at school brought in like a ripped out a picture of someone snowboarding, and I think it was actually Burton. Um, I remember that winter going home,
Yeah.
and we were skateboard kids. Like our cul-de-sac had like a slight decline, and then went into our cul-de-sac, so we were always like racing down. So we took the trucks off, took the wheels off, and we saran wrapped our boards, and then duct taped
No
our feet to
way.
the boards, and that was the snowboard 101. That was the start of snowboarding, and it worked, right? So
No
yes,
way. That
we
is amazing.
that was our first experience snowboarding, and I remember from then on, every at the soon as winter ended, we cleaned it up, put the trucks back on, wheels back up. But every winter, we had duct tape pieces of wood all over the garage, and that was our winter sport.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's a core memory right
Yeah,
there,
for sure.
for
Vividly
sure.
remember doing it. I was like, "Hey, will this work?" My brother's like, "Huh, might as well try." Right? Growing up with all boys, the answer is always like, "Let's give it a try." I don't know, should I climb that
Yeah,
tree? Yeah, let's give it a try. Right? Broken arm. That's
yeah,
what happens.
yeah.
But
To be to be young and invincible is it's a
exactly,
magical thing.
it is.
I don't want to take that away from my kids, but I guess I want to balance it. I don't
Mhm.
want to pay the money to have to put the cast on or whatever. But
But there is
man,
something to be learned from being creative and exploration. I think that's something that I know I had it as a kid. You probably has it as a kid. And I'm starting to see, and this is just my opinion, my pair of glasses, at least where I'm at, is you're not seeing that as much anymore, right? It's very well more boundary esque, protected esque. And so a lot of times
oh
when
for
we
sure,
do get the weekend away, and I'm not saying like it's Thursday afternoon and you got to get the wiggles out and go to the park, but I'm saying like, hey, if we got a weekend overnight up in the mountains or at the beach, it's like, yeah, let's go surf, let's go try something, let's go fall down and get back up and put band-aids on cuts and bruises. And I think that's for me, that's a big part of me growing up and figuring out my limitations and figuring out what was limitations I set on myself versus real limitations. And then you realize that,
yeah,
cuts, sutures heal, bruises heal, right? And you grow up learning a lot of things by trial by error, right? And so I think that's a great kind of tool that when you get older, you're not as afraid to try stuff because you know that, hey, we'll just patch it up and start again. Whereas I think this generation, at least with our kids, I do see a lot more. It's like, hey, don't. That's not how the playground's supposed to be played, right? Don't climb on the outside of the bars, right? Like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
too small for like that. And then I hear that a lot at the playground, man. Man, if I was at the playground, first off, my parents probably wouldn't be there. It would probably just
Yeah.
be me and my brothers that we walked a mile to get there. And then we
Yeah.
would be doing all types of stuff. And then we'd come home, be like, oh, his elbow hurts. that's
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah. You
happened.
didn't have a cell phone, it
No,
wasn't like you're
no,
like,
you
help.
trucked it back for a
Yeah.
mile, and then it's like, hey, what happened to your brother? Oh, I don't know. I think his elbow hurts, right?
There's a
Versus
lot of
like, no, he tried
blood.
to do WWE off the top handlebars of the monkey bars, and then I didn't catch him, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you survived, and and there's a balance to that, right? Like I
yeah,
know everybody,
yes,
we can all be like, well, I did it as a kid, and I'm fine.
yeah,
And I want to say that sometimes, but at the same time, also I'm like, well, there's some boundaries that are good, but maybe this is gonna be a teaser, guys, into a whole other
another
episode.
episode that
So,
we're talking about. Yeah,
um, yeah, so I don't want to get us too far off track from our quick little um uh winter wonderland edition here, but the other question I have for you, Rob,
yeah.
is traditions.
Ooh,
Can you think of a childhood tradition that you had growing up, something that
so
you did? Oh
so
yeah, he's got it.
this is gonna be a little bit different.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I grew up in a generation where like dad worked all the time, right? Only came home for dinner, kind of a thing. Mom was the queen of the household, did a lot of work there. And as soon as like someone came home, the other one was like on break. It was like almost like 15-minute break, top of the hour kind of stuff. So I don't have a lot of, I would say, traditions just because we were, I mean, five people home at in that like early 1980s. It was like food on the table was already the challenge enough. And so when it came
Oh yeah.
to, I think Christmas for me is probably the fondest memory. And the reason being is I remember one year my grandparents flew out. And so that was the pinnacle memory for Christmas. But as far as traditions, we didn't have a lot of traditions. Like if we had a tree, that was a great Christmas, right? If we had a present, like I said, we're duct taping our feet to skateboards. Like that was awesome enough. We didn't need more than that. I guess that would be the equivalent of kids playing with cardboard boxes now, right? Like I don't need the toy. I just want the cardboard box. But
Yeah. Yeah.
a quick transition of that, my wife's upbringing was very similar because we're the same age, right? Same kind of generational work. So one of the things when we got together, and I know this is not answering the question, but it'll come full circle, is that when we got together and we wanted to have kids, we kind of leaned on our mentors, people who were like a little bit older than us, and we knew having something as far as traditions would be important in our family when we started a family. And one
Yeah.
of those mentors mentioned like, hey, do something around Christmas. So what we've been doing ever since I think the last 13 years since our oldest was born, and this is the tradition. So this is my core memory now as far as tradition
Yeah.
is every year the kids pick an ornament. So wherever we're at, right? It doesn't have to be on Christmas to get the ornament, but we're traveling throughout the year, right? Maybe we go to Joshua Tree or maybe we're traveling up north. And if they see something, it doesn't have to be a ornament, right? It could be a stuffed animal that we sew like a fringe on and then put it on the tree. But they pick one
Yeah.
thing every year. And the goal is by the time they get to college life or by the time they start their own family, they have a starter kit. They have 25, 30 ornaments that they can start their tree
Yeah.
with their family. So that has become our tradition in our household is every year the kids, the girls get to pick throughout the year. If they see something like, oh, if we had a chance, like many years ago, we went to Hawaii and they gave us like, I think as part of staying there, an ornament because it was holiday season and that was their core memory. So that became their ornament. So we put their name on it. We put the year, and then as they are getting older, they're seeing and they want to unbox it every year because they remember, like, oh, we got this in Joshua Tree. Oh, this was the time we went to Hawaii. So those memories will always be there for them. And then it's their like family starter kit when they start their family when it comes to Christmas. So that's our tradition. That's kind of our core memory around that.
I love that. You know, the first thing that comes to my mind when you say that too is not only do they have this little starter kit, but
Mhm.
that's tied to so many memories across
Oh
their
yeah.
lifespan that when they're putting that up on the tree, they're thinking about all that stuff.
Exactly, with their
Whew,
kids, and then they get
a
to
little
explain
rewind.
those stories. Yeah, so for us, that's
Oh
kind of the
boy.
biggest tradition around this season that we've been doing for the longest. We've been doing it for about 13 years, and it's something like
Yeah.
all the kids and even, Mo and I get super excited about because as we're putting it up on the tree, it's like a walk down memory lane, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how about you
That's
guys?
fantastic.
What's your I
Oh
mean,
man.
you're either
Y-
current or past, like what's a tradition that your
I'll
family
do
did? I'm taking notes, by the way.
I'll,
So whatever you're sharing, I'm taking notes.
I'll take a page from your book. I'll do one from the past and one current. So,
Awesome.
from the past, the first thing that came to my mind for traditions is that um, we every year as kids, the rule was on Christmas Eve, like we had to obviously go to bed, and in the morning on Christmas morning, we would wake up and we sometimes be up at like 5 4
Oh, of
30
course.
a.m,
Of
just like
course.
it's happening,
It's here.
um and the we weren't allowed to open our door or leave the room until
Like that.
the lights on the Christmas tree turned on. So there were
Mm.
sometimes we'd lay there and we just like put our face at the
Like
crack
you're
of the
peeking
door
through the
and
hole.
just like
Yeah.
stare and just wait and wait for like an hour, and then all of a sudden like the Christmas lights are on, boom, we're out there,
Oh my
you know.
goodness.
So that was I think that's one that I'm gonna continue on to, like
That's
once
so
the kids
cool.
are old enough. Like this is
Yeah.
just a thing. It's like you gotta wait till the Christmas lights turn on and then you can come out. But um that was just smart, for my parents to do because then they can, prep and
I was
they
gonna
don't
say
have
it
kids
gave them
waking them up.
time to actually wrap
Because
stuff and put stuff. Yeah.
now keep in mind, I think there are probably some people out there that are thinking, what in the world would keep you in your room? Like why would you even listen to that? Like you got,
Exactly.
I had friends that like dove into their presents early, or they like my best buddy had a way of like he like heat up the tape and like go and try and like sneak a
Oh
peek at
my
what he
goodness.
got early. And I'm
Wow.
like, why would you ruin the magic for yourself?
Yes.
Jesse, that one's for you if you're listening. So um
Way to go,
but
Jesse. That's smart.
anyways, oh, I let it out of the bag. Shoot. um. Anyways, the
I hope
oh man,
Jesse's
I hope he
parents are
listens
gonna
to
listen to
this.
this. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Let's see. The other another fun thing. This was in the past also is we would always go to this one neighborhood, and
Mhm.
hands down, still to this day, they had the best Christmas lights. So I still want to go and
Oh,
see all the
awesome.
lights like
Yeah.
down there. It's like out in Torrance. There's this place, SoCal. So like I've been tempted to like fly us down or drive just to go see the lights
Just
and
go
then
see the
come back.
lights.
It's
Yeah.
it's that good. It's crazy. So nothing compares to that. But current tradition I would say would be we've been trying to like kind of be intentional about Advent with the kids.
Mhm.
Like right
Mhm.
now, obviously it's gonna like transition over time, right? But
Yeah,
right
'cause the
now it's
age.
it's the
Yeah.
excitement of opening up their little like doors, and they
Yeah.
get a little chocolate. We got the Trader Joe's Advent calendars
Love
that
it.
are like, hot cakes they sell. You got to get them early.
Oh my goodness. You gotta get them in
um and
September
so they
or
love that.
December. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But so, and as we've talked we talk about in future episodes too, but I know a lot of people listening probably have all sorts of different traditions and
Mhm.
holidays that they're celebrating. But for us specifically, yeah, we want to like begin to shift that into talking about like, hey, this is what Christmas signifies, and
Mhm.
this is the story of Jesus' birth, and like actually like you know tie that in better.
Mhm.
It was like so I know it's so easy, and I remember the magic of Christmas, and like the
Mhm.
presents were amazing. Like my parents did so great at making Christmas really magical, and I want to keep that. I'm just thinking like, hey, I want to tag this in. This is going to be a way. I mean, I honestly I say but like Deb and I think
Yeah.
she's the one who has really intentionally put that in. She's good at helping us create these traditions. So I'm only just really I'm just conveying the value that my wife has so graciously created and made awesome. So
Yes.
that's our current one.
Very cool.
So Yeah. But I wanted to make sure that we took a little bit of time to talk
Mm-hmm.
about, I guess, a little more serious as we approach this season, right? Because we the whole thing is we want to riff, we want to have fun, and we want to have meaningful conversation that
Yeah.
other dads can listen to, other parents can listen to, and feel like they walked away like encouraged or what have you.
And you know
So,
what? I'm already
um,
getting feedback about that. Like literally, like I'm already getting people messaging me, be like, it sounds like we got to sit down at the campfire with you and Travis, or that we got to sit in the coffee shop and you guys are just like two dads talking. I was like, good. That's the whole point, right? That's why we
that is
started.
exactly what we want. Yeah. Welcome to the conversation.
I know exactly. Welcome to the brand. But yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
Well, I just thought, okay, what is something that I need to hear in this
Mhm.
season as we're getting close to the end of the year? You constantly, I feel like as well, really anybody these days. I was gonna say as a parent or as a dad, but like really anybody. You gotta like. It feels like you're constantly having to fight the the hustle and the culture to an
Mhm.
extent,
Mhm.
just to just to slow down, to stop, to like take a minute.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you. There's something that you have to push against in order to um, embrace the values that you have.
Especially
So
around this season sometimes, right? Like the hustle and bustle of the mall and trying to get your shopping in. And is it the right? Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, like an ambient pressure, right? So it's not like talked about a lot, but you just feel it, right? Like when you're out and about, you're like, man, why is everyone like rushed? Why does everyone feel like they need to do it by this time today or something like that? So we've been feeling that around us for sure.
yeah. So like one thing that I thought of, and maybe
Mhm.
like I want to see what comes to
Yeah.
mind as we're going. But a quick little one. I mean, I guess it's big, but it's a quick note. Is that you don't have to do all the things. I
Yeah.
think there are a ton of people out there, especially just with all the commercialism and all the things
Mhm.
like that will say like, it's like the keeping up with the Joneses. I just am
100%.
I'm feeling this more and more with kids, like as a
Mhm.
family,
Oh, yeah.
of just like,
Parenting in general. Yeah.
yeah. Like there's this recital and this like these 18 birthday parties and like this Christmas parade and that light show and these, and like obviously you want to make the season special,
Mhm.
absolutely, and that's fantastic. That's but don't let the need to keep up with the Joneses stop you from enjoying those things that you are doing.
Yes. Yeah. I think
So that's one of the things. It's like give yourself. There's something that I need to hear is like give yourself grace. Um,
yes. Yeah.
on my end, normally I'm the one that's like not doing. I'm not really doing enough. So there is that. But like when like my
You're
wife and I,
doing
we
more than
balance each
enough. You
other
gotta
out.
give
She's
yourself credit.
organized. She's on
No,
it.
you're doing more than
But
enough.
yeah, well, but give yourself grace. That's what I
Mhm.
need to hear. Is like, hey, you don't have to do all the stuff.
No, no, I
So
think
that's one thing.
yeah, I think for me, and it's something we've been practicing the last couple of years more focused, I guess you'd say, is in this season and different seasons, it could be of life or seasons of the year, you might feel this kind of overwhelm. And you'll start noticing it because you're starting getting short with loved ones and your spouse, and you're a little bit more irritable. And so one of the things that I always remind myself, and Mo and I talk about it all the time, is like we need to really build up boundaries around our attention. Like, where is our attention? Is it on social media? Is it listening to conversations while we're out? Is it keeping up with the Joneses? And so, one of the ways that we practice slowing down and being more intentional about our attention, that one's hard to say, intentional about your attention, is that we actually unplug. So, what I mean by that is we might go away, right? Go to Joshua Tree. We like Joshua Tree. There's no Wi-Fi for the kids, right? There's no internet. There's no checking Instagram. There's no checking email or text messages. So I think since the invention, and I'm holding up my iPhone, since the
Yeah,
invention of being super connected, we have fallen away from kind of creating boundaries around our time and space. And so what happens is this fast forwards everything, right? How we consume information,
yeah,
connecting to people. I remember growing up, like you said, we didn't have phones going to the park, right? You got home when you got home. I remember a
yeah,
pager in high school was like the best thing ever. And so, but one of the things I remember about that time in my life is things were a lot slower. I remember not being as stressed. I remember being stressed, but about like one or two things. Whereas now, because of how connected we are, now I'm stressed about what you're doing, Travis, and I'm stressed about what someone else is doing. And so, one of the things that we practice around Christmas is when we travel or if we stay home, is we unplug, right? Think about it as a fast. Like, we're just like, hey, you know what? For some people, that might be really hard. So they do it for 24 hours. For others, it might be a week. For us, the duration of our travels. So, whatever it is, if it's 3 days, it's 3 days. Like, we're about to go on a trip for 2 weeks, it'll be 2 weeks, right? But a lot of people will be like, oh, Rob, but you're still posting. That's all scheduled. So, that is not me posting while I'm traveling. Just, that's just been scheduled. So, I think for us, putting more attention on unplugging during this season when everyone seems to be hyper plugged in during this season has really helped us stay connected as parents with each other, stay connected with our kids, because it could very easily be. I forgot that movie, but it was that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's looking for that toy for Christmas.
Jingle
And
all the way.
yeah, it can very quickly every day turn into that. And so that's what we do. We unplug and we just notice our heart rate slows down, our breathing slows down, and we create better memories on things that we want our attention to be on.
Oh man, that is great. So stop looking for Turbo Man and
Exactly.
take
How
a
about
second
exactly
to.
take a second to make Turbo Man at home, right?
Ooh, yeah. There you go. There you go. I couldn't wholeheartedly agree more with that. That's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. I did that during election season.
Yeah.
I just deleted all the social media, and it was like the most like peace I felt in a long
It,
time,
it
in a
almost
very
feels
like
like everything slows
unpeaceful
down.
way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. Such a slowdown. So, I need to do that more.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I have people in my life reminding me, like, hey, you're back. You're back on Instagram again. Like, be
I
careful,
can
because
tell.
it's just like,
I can tell. Yeah.
yeah. So, oh man, I love that. I just realized what time it is, and the children beckon, and errands need to be run. But
Yeah,
I
for
had
sure.
one other
Okay.
thought that I had written down that I thought I'd share,
Please.
and that is, for some of you, I'm a woodworker, and I've been turning right now a little something people ask me to try and make are these like the spinning tops.
Oh, they're
Um,
beautiful.
I
They're
have some
amazing.
here, so not everybody's going to be able to see this, but I'll
Mhm.
explain it as if you are just listening. So, the little kid spinning tops, and I thought like, oh, I'll try it out. So I made this little prototype, and it turned out great.
Little
And
woodworking joke
it
there.
was
That was good.
it was fun, little woodworking joke for you.
Mhm.
And so I started making more, and I've
Mhm.
had people requesting them and whatnot, and so I'm really like in that zone right now. Santa's
Mhm.
workshop over here, pumping out spinning tops. But
Literally Santa's
I
workshop. Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
here I spent a ton of time on this big walnut spinning top that is like
Oh my goodness. It's
so
beautiful.
beautiful. It's a lesson in woodworking, but I'm gonna try and tie this into a story, a learning thing, and we'll see how it goes. It's either gonna land or it's not, and you get what you get. So,
Talk about
um,
dad life, right? Like, how do I make this into a learning
how do I
situation?
make this? Yeah. So I spent a ton of time on this top, and I'm looking at this thing as it's turning on the lathe, and I'm like,
Mhm.
this is gonna be primo product number one. But like, I'm
Mhm.
just getting more and more excited as I'm turning this thing. It's like perfectly smooth. Walnut is great for like sanding to like a real nice sheen. The lines were
Oh.
perfect, like the wood cut exactly as I wanted it to, like butter. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, this is going to be the best. And what I do is I make it out here, and then I run inside, and I go and I spin it. Like, I literally, my shop is so full of junk. There's no good
There's no
spot. So
room to spin
I
a
go
top.
inside,
Yeah.
and so I go in, and I'm super excited, and I put all this effort into this thing, and I spin it, and it doesn't spin. And it won't spin. And so it's kind of a lesson in woodworking and in life, is when I look at this top here, it it has a lot of lines on one side, and that's
Mhm.
the what we call the heartwood. And then on the other side, we have this like lighter coloring and less lines. What I did not realize and what I did not pay attention to is that that is the sapwood. That's kind of like from the outside of the log.
Mm-hmm.
And that wood is a lot less dense. And so when I set this thing down, it just like shot over to one side. It's completely unbalanced. So it doesn't function as it was designed to. And it made me really sad because I missed it, you know? But what I was thinking about with that as this thing is spinning, is like I put a ton of time into this. I wanted it to be a certain way, and it didn't turn out how I thought it would. And as you guys kind of understand where this is going, is you might put a lot of time into something this season that you thought would turn out a certain way. Mm-hmm. And I think what a lot of us can do is I do this to myself a lot as I go, I spent all this time, I'm so frustrated, and it was just a waste, and there's nothing that's gonna come from this, and so I'm just gonna kind of sulk or what have you. So especially as a parent, as you know, we don't have time to sulk, number one, but no. Number two, was something that I've put a lot of, Rob, you've helped me with this in this last year. Just adjusting those expectations, or learning how to take a moment to just breathe and think about, what did I learn from this experience? Mm-hmm. And so that is going to help you. You might not get it right this first Christmas or the 4th or the 12th, but you'll begin to figure it out. Mm-hmm. We just had a conversation. We've been married for 11 years now, and I keep on having issues like picking out our Christmas tree. And I told Deb before we went and got one, I was like, I'm miserable when we go and pick out these trees. Like, I'm miserable to be with, and I don't know why. And so we talked it through and we figured it out, and I was able to adjust. And now, 5 years into parenting, mm-hmm. I just figured out how to go and get a tree and not be the Grinch. So there's always something to learn, even in the failures. So take a minute, and maybe something didn't go the way that you expected it to, but learn from it and rejoice in the fact that you learned something, or that you will learn something, and move on and enjoy the people that are in front of your face. Yes. That's what I got.
No, that was awesome. Yeah. Managing expectations is a huge thing, right? As soon as we get older. And then that's a great thing to be teaching by example for our kids to see, right? Like, hey, like, we tried really hard, we came up short, but we keep going. So I think a lot of this stuff in life is a game of repetition, right? So it's not like failure or wins as much as the more I do it, the better I will get from learning from the shortcomings. So it's definitely a season where, like, man, you put so much time into dinner, or maybe you thought you bought the best gift for your 5-year-old and they don't even play with the gift after they open it. Or it's like you said, I want to pick the perfect tree. So one, it's all these expectations that we kind of put on ourselves, and maybe they're expectations that we grew up with, that we saw put on our parents. And so we kind of carry that forward. Or it could be like the keeping up the Joneses and all that kind of stuff, which is not bad. But just like you said at the beginning of this podcast, is I think the best thing we can do in this season, or seasons of pressure, right, is to give ourselves grace, right? To know that, to realize that, like using your turning examples, like, man, I didn't go out the way I wanted, but man, how cool is it that I have the opportunity to have a shop to turn some tops, right? To even figure that out. And so I think it's, kind of a great way to segue into close, is to remember that, whatever happens this season, whatever happens today or tomorrow, you have an opportunity to look at it both ways, right? One is the woe is me, I can't believe this happened. Or two, it's like, hey, it didn't go the way I wanted, but you know what? The first 2 steps I'm going to take to the next attempt, and the next attempt, the next attempt. And I think as parents, we don't give ourselves enough grace when it comes to parenting, like new kids, especially like your firstborn. And then also in my season of life, like the biggest awareness around that is because my kids are watching, right? They're seeing how I react, what I do. So it's even more important for me to give myself grace, because I can't tell them to give yourself grace if I don't.
Right? Yep, that's right. Well, Guys, thanks for joining us today.
Happy holidays.
Blast.
Yes.
Happy holidays. Have a fantastic time with your families. It is upon us. It's crazy. I can't believe that it's already here. So
it's already the end of the year. It's crazy.
Yeah, but like we always say, we are not professionals.
No, not gurus by any stretch. We're just two dads.
We are just two dads in real life.